Hello, everyone.
Hola. Um, so does anyone want to go first in particular, or to share which idioms you guys picked? I can go if you guys don't want to go. So for the homework assignment, I chose the idioms. We had to do 3 in English and 3 in Spanish. So the 3 in English that I did was heard it through the grapevine, sitting on the fence, and beat a dead horse. And then for the Spanish ones, I chose meter la pata, which now that I think about it, I did not write down what they mean. But meter la pata, no pegar ojo, and sin pelos en la lengua. I know the last one, sin pelos en la lengua, is like without hair on the tongue. And it's something about like when you speak, something about telling lies, I think is what that one means. And I chose, so in regards to the English idioms, I chose those in particular because I actually had fun with this because I'm an English major, and so I actually like idioms and hearing different ones. And I chose the 3 ones that I did because I felt like they were pretty well known enough idioms. Um, and I don't know, I just thought they were interesting and they were ones that I could possibly use in life. So yeah, have you guys like heard any of those 3 ones that I mentioned?
Yeah. I think it's also asking like the cultural information we find in these idioms, and I feel like the grapevine one kind of represents that, like, probably when it was coined, grapevines were kind of like farming was kind of an important part of our culture.
Mm-hmm.
I know you mentioned sin pelos en la lengua,
Mm-hmm.
and that one, it basically means that you're not afraid to speak your mind.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, that one I've heard it a lot. Where I can't find the equivalent to the English version. But that one they use it a lot for those that aren't afraid to like speak up and like say things. Partially it could be about lies. But I'm trying to find where you got those.
Oh, I just Googled them. I was like,
Oh, we have
Spanish
to.
idioms. Yeah, because for the homework for this week, one of the questions is to think of 3 idioms in English and 3 in Spanish. And then it says if none come to mind, just look them up. And that's how I found that one. But I've also heard of that one before, the sin pelos en la lengua. That one just always makes me feel weird because it's like having hair on your tongue, like just thinking about that.
Yeah. Oh, and beating a dead horse. Horses at one point.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, when I had to describe like what the culture said about them, I didn't really know how to like.
Well, it would be interesting to look into like multiple countries, like their idioms, because like I don't know, maybe I'm biased, but like I think like ours are pretty weird. Like America is kind of weird.
Now they are like beating a dead horse. That's weird. I also just mentioned that each culture has their own sense of humor. So I talked about that too, how like our idioms obviously match our wit, and then of course Spanish idioms or other cultures' idioms would match their wit.
Yeah, it's funny you bring that up because I've had a conversation with another like Hispanic person, and we talk about our like humor that we have, and like our friends kind of don't get it all the time, and like kind of reduced it down to it's like kind of like a dad joke kind of humor.
Mm-hmm.
And we're talking about that we feel like we got that from our like Hispanic culture, that like my father was where I got that from.
Oh,
It's
cool.
cool to think about like different cultures having different humors.
Mm-hmm. Ollie, have you heard or would you know the idiom in Spanish, meter la pata?
Mete la pata. Or
Yeah.
meter la pata, that basically means you you stick your nose in other people's business, kind of like that.
Okay.
That or meter la pata. Another equivalent would be la regastes. Those two basically means like you kind of screwed something over, or you kind of like shot yourself in the foot. That's like
Mhm.
another way you can say it.
Oh, interesting.
Those are
I
other
think that
ways.
was I think that was like the definition when I Googled
Mhm.
it. Do you
Um,
know no pegar ojo?
no pegar ojo.
Mm-hmm.
Um, o echar ojo, I think that's another one that people say. That's basically o no te sales. Uh, they basically means like don't test your luck, or don't what's another one? Like no te sal, yeah, basically like don't test your luck, or um just to how would you, I know there's another idiom that kind of goes with that, where isn't it don't test your luck, where like don't jinx yourself. There you go. That's
Oh,
that's
okay.
basically what it means.
Hmm.
Um, I know one that my mom loves to tell us is tanto el diablo quiere a su hijo hasta que le saca los ojos. And so the literal translation is like the devil loves its child until it takes its eyes out. Um, so basically it means like when you're constantly overprotecting, like for me, like if I overprotect my daughter, um, you're not letting them grow.
Mm-hmm.
Or like when you're constantly like telling your pet like don't do that, like don't be liking this. And it's like you're never gonna let them figure it out on their own. You end up kind of pushing them behind.
Mm-hmm.
That's the one that my mom loves to tell us. I always thought that it was the devil who took its eyes out, not its child.
Mm-hmm.
What are you saying? It's not, I mean, now that I'm older, it kind of makes a lot more sense. But I know that one. That's a very common one. I'm trying to think of another one.
I like that one.
Um, there's one with the blind guy that my mom likes to. Oh, I think it's just like um, dijo el ciego que iba a ver y nunca vio. Um, where it's just like the blind guy says that he will see and he never saw. So basically, um, I'll just reference my mom. She usually says that when we say that we're gonna do something and we never do it. That's basically another one.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I don't know. I have like so many ones that are flooding through my head that they're at the tip of my tongue and I can't come up with it.
I feel like already it seems like Spanish idioms are much more creative. Like they seem much more not so, I don't know, not so literal. Like all idioms are metaphorical, but like the one about the devil's child taking its eyes out seems much more like creative than like beating a dead horse. I don't know.
Isn't that one kind of like beating around the bush?
Beating a dead horse is beating around the bush is also one, but beating a dead horse is about when you keep trying to do something that's trying to change or do something that's never going to happen, kind of something like that. Like why keep beating the horse? If you take it literally, I guess it's like why keep hurting the horse if it's dead? Like it's not going to do anything, kind of a thing. And then beating around the bush is when you avoid like a conflict or a problem.
Ah,
So yeah,
okay.
very
That makes a lot more sense.
not as cool as your Spanish ones that you're talking about.
I'm trying to think of another funny one.
It asks if we think that there are situations that idioms are more appropriate than direct speech.
I think so.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
To like the metaphor needs to be like expressed, then yeah, like which situations probably it's really like hard to imagine like in like say professional politics or some sort of like really important like you probably end up beating a dead horse.
Mm-hmm.
But I really am not sure what else like
I feel like maybe giving someone advice, you would use idioms more than direct speech just because it's not as blunt, I guess. Like, if you use an idiom, and it also helps people to understand. If you're like expressing an opinion or something or advice, I feel like an idiom helps people to understand more about the point you're trying to make versus like the actual words that you're saying, I guess. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
I think in places where it would fall, it would be like, I think of like a lawyer when they're trying to like explain something in like a court trial and they're trying to translate it to someone to understand what they're saying, or like a psychologist who's like speaking with their patient, and they're just like trying to like figure out like ways. I feel like that's where it could be at.
Yeah. For the question that says, are there cases in which idioms are less appropriate? I don't really think so. I think if anything, I think they can be appropriate for any situation, whether it's like a funny like conversation or like a serious one. I think it just depends on the idiom. If anything, honestly, I think they should be used more because I think they're pretty cool.
Yeah. Definitely.
I feel like there's certain things where it wouldn't be appropriate, like, I feel like I think what you mentioned, like, I think it depends on what idiom it is.
Yeah, I think that if like the idiom is
Allie, you're
already
muted. Sorry.
low, then
What happened?
You muted yourself.
Oh, I had to tell my sister to.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were still talking. I was like, I can't hear you.
Oh no.
Sorry, you're good. Okay, Allison, you can go. Sorry.
but yeah, like if the words that are being used are lighthearted, then like if it matches what the tone of the situation is.